My name is Eleanor, and I thought I knew my family. For years I raised my son, James, believing I was doing everything right. But nothing could have prepared me for the truth that unfolded behind closed doors. The truth that my own daughter-in-law, Lena, had been hiding right under my nose. It all started on a quiet Sunday morning. I picked up the phone to ask James when he and Lena were planning the wedding. His voice was distracted, almost guilty. I called Lena myself, and she looked me straight in the eye and said, with a chilling smile, "Oh, we got married yesterday. We only invited special people." I froze. My heart pounded. My son, my house, my trust, all shattered in a single sentence. That's when I realized my own family was betraying me. And not just a little. They were living their secret life, whispers, hidden messages, lies. And I decided then that I wouldn't be the victim. I would find out everything, and justice. Justice would be mine. Tonight, I'm telling you my story, the confessions I've never shared, the secret betrayals, the heartbreak, the revenge. And maybe, just maybe, you'll understand how far a mother-in-law can go when everything she loves is stolen from her. Cue tense music, close-up of tear-filled eyes, phone left on the counter. My name is Eleanor, and I have lived in my own home as if I were invisible. I remember the first time I noticed something was off. Lena, my daughter-in-law, would laugh a little too softly on the phone, her whispers curling through the walls like smoke I couldn't catch. I would find her room locked when I knew she was supposed to be asleep, or hear the faint buzz of her phone when she pretended to read a book. I began paying attention. I watched her leave the house in a long coat when it was 90 degrees outside, or stay up late, pretending to clean while the glow of her phone reflected on the wall. I saw the slight twitch of her lips when James mentioned me, a hidden smirk I couldn't yet interpret. One night, I stayed in the living room, pretending to watch TV. But I wasn't watching the TV, I was watching her. I saw her sneak a folded envelope into her drawer. I could hear the faint click of the lock. My pulse pounded. My hand shook. I wanted to knock, demand the truth. But I didn't. I was waiting. James, my son, noticed my tension. I tried to confront him gently. "Have you noticed anything strange?" He brushed it off with a smile, a distracted "you're imagining things," but I knew better. Mothers always know. The envelope burned in my mind. That night, I lay awake imagining what it could contain: letters, photos, proof of lies, something worse. I imagined Lena laughing somewhere, thinking I would never find out. I started my own quiet investigations, following, watching, listening. The house felt colder, the air heavier. Every creak in the stairs, every muffled laugh, felt like a dagger in my chest. I became obsessed, but I needed the truth, no matter the cost. Then, one afternoon, I found it. A photograph slipped beneath her bed. It was James and Lena, dressed not like a couple planning a wedding, but like a couple who had already married. My hands froze as I held it. The shock froze me. My heart thudded so hard it hurt. This was the betrayal I had been sensing, and then I heard it, a soft laugh from her room, as if she knew I had discovered part of the secret. My blood ran cold. I realized then that this wasn't just a simple deception. Lena had built a fortress of secrets, and I was just beginning to see the first brick. I remember the first time I saw the photos online. It was like someone had shoved my heart into a vice and twisted. There they were, James and Lena, laughing in front of a courthouse, a bouquet in her hand, a small ring glinting on his finger. My son, my home. My life had been invaded by a secret I never saw coming. I could still hear the laughter from our last family dinner, Lena's polite smile, James' distracted nods. They had been living this secret life while I made the same roast dinner I had prepared 100 times before. I felt my hands shake as I stared at the screen. The room spun, the air thick with betrayal. I tried to call James immediately, my voice trembling. "Why didn't you tell me?" But the call went to voicemail. Lena didn't answer either. I wanted to confront them, but what could I say? How could I face two people who had built a lie so carefully that even my instincts had been fooled? I became a ghost in my own house. I followed Lena discreetly one rainy afternoon, watching her slip into a small, dim courthouse, laughing softly with the clerk. I felt the storm outside, raindrops cold on my neck, the umbrella useless against the shock flooding my chest. Every day, every small lie stacked itself in front of me like bricks in a wall. And yet I held back, recording, watching, learning. I needed evidence, not tears. Later that night, I noticed a package left at the front door. It was addressed to Lena, but the handwriting was unfamiliar. Inside, a letter whispered another layer of betrayal. When I wasn't prepared to see. Family dinners had once been my sanctuary, my pride. But now they were arenas of silent warfare. Lena would sit across the table, her smile sweet, eyes sharp. She criticized, subtly, in ways that stung. James would avoid my gaze, twisting his fork in his hands. I could feel the cold distance like an icy draft circling the room. I started noticing the whispers under the table, the slight smirks exchanged with friends who came to dinner. Lena would lean over and whisper something, and the room seemed to shift. Everyone complicit in a game I wasn't meant to understand. Once, I accidentally overheard her on the phone, whispering into the receiver, "She'll never see it coming." My stomach churned. My throat tightened. How long had she been planning this? How much of my family's love had she been poisoning with lies? Cinematically, I see it all now: empty chairs, plates untouched, the clatter of forks, my own reflection in the window staring back at me with fear and rage intertwined. I realized my home was no longer mine. It belonged to her secrets, her schemes. That night, James disappeared from dinner entirely. When I found him, he was huddled in the study, phone in hand, sweat on his brow. Something was coming, and I had a feeling I wouldn't like it. I began to see the web Lena had spun. Friends, neighbors, even James' colleagues were entangled in her subtle manipulations. Every friendly smile hid a tiny dagger, every whispered "How's your mother-in-law?" carried venom. One evening, I followed her to a cafe. She met someone in the back corner, leaning close, speaking in hushed tones. The rain soaked my coat as I watched through the fogged-up windows. I didn't recognize the man, but the way she leaned in, I knew. Betrayal, layered and thick. I began collecting small proofs, notes, receipts, messages. My home felt like a war room. Each corner held secrets waiting to explode. Every time I touched a note, I felt both fear and anticipation. I doubted myself at first. Was I imagining it all? But then came the envelope. Black ink, thick paper. Inside, a warning. "Back off, or everything collapses." I pressed it to my chest, heart pounding. Threats didn't scare me anymore. They fueled me. I realized that revenge wasn't just necessary. It was inevitable. That night, Lena caught me staring at the envelope. Our eyes met in the dark hall. For the first time, I saw fear flicker in her eyes. I began to plan, carefully, slowly, every lie Lena had told, every manipulation she had done. I would turn it against her. I installed cameras in places I never thought I would. I recorded conversations. I left subtle hints, planted seeds of doubt. Watched as they grew. The most satisfying moments were the small ones, Lena checking behind doors, huffing in frustration, James frowning, confused by my sudden awareness. I could almost hear the panic building inside her. Cinematically, I see myself moving silently through the house, lights low, files in hand, evidence stacked neatly. I wasn't angry anymore. I was cold, precise. I was no longer the victim. One night, a loud slam echoed through the house. Lena's room door burst open. She knew she was coming for me. But I was ready. The day came when I revealed everything. A family gathering, tense and quiet. Photos, messages, recordings all laid bare on the dining table. I watched Lena's face as color drained. James tried to protest, but the truth was undeniable. The room held its breath. Gasps, whispers, the shuffle of feet. I stood, calm, finally feeling a sense of triumph I hadn't known for months. The betrayal had ended. Justice, quiet and measured, had been served. I walked away from the gathering, voice low, reflective. Some wounds heal. Some betrayals are never forgotten. But I finally slept at night. Cinematic vision. The sun breaks through clouds, illuminating my diary on the table. A single tear slips down my cheek. I am free. Lena sits in silence, realization dawning too late, and I am no longer the woman she thought she could manipulate. I never thought I would tell anyone all of this. The betrayals, the lies, the nights I cried alone while my own house hid secrets from me. But now I speak, not for revenge, not for anger, but so that you know the truth. If you've ever felt powerless, overlooked, or betrayed by someone you trusted, listen closely. There is a strength you don't yet see. A quiet fire that grows when you pay attention, when you gather the evidence, when you decide that silence is no longer an option. I survived because I saw the web, understood it, and acted with precision. You can survive too. Even in the darkest times, even when betrayal cuts deepest at the people you love. You can reclaim your life. You can take back your dignity. So if this story resonated with you, if it stirred something deep inside, I want you to take a moment, reflect, share this story with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, even in the shadows, even when it feels like the world has turned against you, your truth is stronger than their lies. And finally, if you're ready to see more confessions like mine, stories of betrayal, hidden secrets, and justice served, you know what to do. Subscribe, stay close, and never underestimate the power of someone who refuses to be silenced. Because in the end, the truth always comes out, and justice always finds a way. Fade out with soft, tense music. Close-up of Eleanor's hand closing her diary, a single tear rolling down her cheek as sunlight pours in through the window.